another week before.
Today is May 21st.
We on?
I don't think we're unmuted yet. Tell me when you're.
Okay. Thank you. Keisha, is there any way to
Change your view.
change your view so it doesn't? No, that's almost too big.
Upper.
I didn't do anything. I'm looking for the.
Upper right. Those little.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
There you go.
There we go.
Sorry.
Good work,
All right.
Keisha.
Very good. Are we unmuted? Jake, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. It's called a special meeting of the Marion County Board of Supervisors to order. It's 9 a.m. on May the 21st.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Mark Ramey,
Here?
Steve Combs,
Here. All right, our agenda has been discussion of county operations as a result of the corona or the COVID-19 crisis. Is there a motion to approve that rolling agenda item?
Make motion we approve today's agenda.
Second?
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
All right, on to business. We last week met and just had an update on where we were at from an operations standpoint in our various capacities from a county government standpoint. We asked some folks to get together as a team, a subset of our county courthouse offices, and start to think about a plan for reopening and what that plan might look like. So I know, Steve, you were a part of that group.
I got it.
So are you the spokesperson, or is somebody else?
Well, it appears so.
Okay. Where'd we end up at? What did the group talk about? What do we need to think about as we go toward a reopening?
Well, we got together Tuesday and talked about what a reopening would look like, whether it would be in our current lockdown situation or if we were to open up to the public. And we also considered the fact that, eventually we're going to be moving back to the courthouse, so what would those operations look like there? We did come to a consensus. We viewed a demonstration of some software, what they call no wait inside. And correct me if I'm wrong, everybody listening, but we all believe that was a very, very efficient software, more efficient than what Michaela's currently using, because it allows us to do more things. And Kim was agreeable with that too. She could eliminate what she's using for appointment schedule and use this new software. It's all HIPAA compliant, so it meets all those requirements. And I guess the consensus I got, the people that would be able to do business by appointment thought it was a great thing. It would probably work out well.
Okay.
So I think our recommendation would be to purchase this software. I think it's like $30 a month and at 5 cents a message. I don't want to get into the details on how it works, but I think everybody agrees that it's a good program. I think Andrew could probably speak to that better than I could, but I think it's something we need to consider if we're looking at conducting business now and in the future on an appointment basis. So I think it's something we really should invest in. That being said, in consideration that the courts may be opening June 1st, I think it would be our recommendation that we do a soft opening also of the courthouse facilities June 1st, which would mean unlocking the front door. And, we had that conversation. You're always going to have walk-ins, whether it be at our temporary location or eventually in our permanent location. I think we come to an agreement that, if these people do walk in, and if they do not have an appointment, they could probably make one at that time, or if there happens to be an opening, they could service that public at that point in time. And am I correct in that, everybody?
Yeah, Steve, I guess I'll do the software just a minute. Michaela has been testing this software for a couple weeks now, and the current software that we're using, and it's worked pretty well. It's identified that a scheduling system will work well. However, we did find a lot of limitations to the software that she is using around security and permissions, as well as the ability to notify via text message and phone calls. So that was a pretty significant limitation on directing traffic into the correct location, especially since public has not really even seen the building that we're in right now, so that nobody knows where any office is at all right now, let alone to schedule properly and limit the number of traffic in our building. So we started looking at a couple other options, and this is the best solution that we've been able to find. It does the text messaging and allows us to customize the message. It gives HIPAA compliancy, and it allows for the security that we want, so different offices can have different permissions to see different calendars. So it kind of checks all the boxes that we want. There's definitely going to be some setup work and tweaking if we go with this software, trial and error, you might say. But I think it's a better platform than what we had. We found a platform very quickly just to try to get Michaela up and going, and we quickly realized that there definitely were some limitations with the system that we have. Does that make sense to everybody?
Well, it does to me, but I was at the meeting, so.
No. Makes
I
sense.
know, I'll let anybody else speak to it. I know Michaela was there, Karen was there, Jake was there. I don't know if you guys have any comments?
Well, and for example, one limitation of the free software is something so simple as a customer cannot cancel their own appointment and reschedule it. So they have to call us, cancel, to delete the appointment they made in error so that they can reschedule another one. Things like that just result in more administrative work. The HIPAA compliance and, Privacy Act compliant is very important. If we would like them to submit information such as a driver's license number so that we can, ahead of time before they come in for their appointment. Some administrative issues with the free software, such as you're able to view every office's appointment schedule. So Karen could look at my driver's license schedule. I can see her passport schedule. We'd kind of like to lock that down for security reasons.
Well, that being said, I know we had the discussions. Obviously, appointment wise, doing business by appointment is probably logistically works very well for some departments, but there's some departments that the appointment things are just probably not going to work for. We have to take that into consideration. So we're always going to have that walk-in traffic. We can't live in a cocoon forever. So we're going to have to deal with that walk-in traffic, irregardless of whether we're at the temporary location or at our permanent location. And we had that discussions on how to do that. I know limiting the amount of people into a facility is one way to do it, but how do you do that? I know we talked about the courthouse. If we move back to the courthouse, probably only going to have one door that's accessible to the public. That being said, if they don't have an appointment, it's like I talked about Tuesday, the person's still going to have to come to the office And then an appointment can be made for them unless there's available time at that given time to service that customer. Am I correct in that assumption? Is that the conversation we had?
Yeah, that sounds fair, Steve.
Okay,
The software that we are looking at also has a first in, first out component to it as well. We didn't really look at that too closely, but it does have the ability to also handle walk-in traffic as well, because presumably, at a certain point, like you said, we will be open to walk-in traffic too. So, this software does have a component that allows for scheduling for walk-in as well as the appointment-based, individual scheduling.
oh yeah, that's my whole point. I love the idea of the appointment schedule, but in all reality, that is not going to happen for everybody. So we need to understand that, and we need to deal with that when that happens at the time. And that being said, it'd be back to, if we're calling it a soft opening rather than just calling it unlocking the doors for that reason, because of the appointment base. But which brings us to the idea of how are we going to stay safe, which would mean cleaning procedures and everything else. Are we all?
Steve, can I just
Yeah.
add a couple questions on the
Okay.
soft opening? Okay. So we've got a software system to do appointments. We seem to like it. Seems to fit the bill, maybe a little more robust than what Michaela was initially using. It's got a cost associated with that. We're okay with that. We're targeting June 1st
That's correct.
as this soft opening date. And we have a process in place to then execute on the soft opening. So we are going to do what with that? Still appointment only, or are we allowing walk-ins on June 1st?
Well, I wouldn't say we're allowing walk-ins. They're going to happen. If we unlock the doors, which we're going to have to do eventually,
Mhm.
people are going to walk in.
And we are going to take care of the public.
At
In that fashion.
At that point in time, all office doors to the hallway will be locked. So anybody that walks in will have to, wherever office they're going to, will have to knock on that door. If they don't have an appointment, that manager at that point in time will deal with them. You either have to make an appointment, then they'll have to leave again.
Okay.
Or if, for some reason, they can work them in, I'm gonna leave that up to them, to the managers. I mean, they know how to run their offices.
Okay.
And I would assume that they were going to run them efficiently. So if we unlock the doors, we're gonna have to expect that.
So when we say this, and this is a public meeting, we can say to the public, you can come to the courthouse on June 1st without an appointment, but you will have to wait in line at whatever office you need service from until an appointment clears, or something in the schedule clears that they can get to you.
That's the way I understood our conversation, yes.
Okay.
Am I correct in that?
Mark,
Yes?
kind of speak to the loose plan that I have for my office. Those functions that really require someone to sign a legal document or present a legal document in person, those are the functions that we'll be making appointments for. As far as, paying your taxes and just a typical registration renewal, we still have 4 other options other than coming to our office to pay those. So we have online, we have the Dropbox, we have mail, and you can still call and do that over the phone by credit card. So our plan is, at least at first, that, we will encourage those functions that really don't require legal documents or signatures to continue to be done one of those other 4 ways.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Michaela, and we'll continue to encourage that even without coronavirus, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so that's good, and I think any way that we can continue to leverage what we've already done, whether it's via web, call in, whatever those those 21st century tools are to make things more effective and efficient for the public to get things to us, we continue to use that. I'm just talking about what happens when somebody comes to the courthouse. We will have people that say, okay, now the doors are unlocked, I want to show up. How will I be addressed when I show up? Because I'm coming to my courthouse. Okay, the public owns this building.
Right, absolutely, and that's our job, is definitely to serve the public.
Okay,
So, again, for those renewals and taxes, we'll have a box, and we'll ask if you could, deposit your payment here, we'll be happy to get your receipt out to you, we'll be happy to get your registrations right out to you. If someone presents to our office with a title or one of those documents that they do need an appointment for, then, we're gonna work with those individuals. And for me, the big thing is, we have situations where you have a dealer that comes in and they may have 5, 10, 20 titles.
right,
We can now make an appointment for that person, and I can staff for that. Instead of them showing up at noon when we're half staffed due to lunches, we can now manage that workload.
okay,
Or you have someone who, you have a deceased donor, they've got 11 titles they need to take a name off of, and they want to put it into their newly, their new trust. We can now schedule for that workload.
right.
We have to be effective though, to communicate that to the public. So have you guys as a group been able to do like a public announcement so that we can give to the media or anything like that?
I did not address the public announcement. It's gonna be a learning experience for the public. The expectation of the public is probably gonna have to change going down the road, that they're not going to take care of business as usual right away, even if they walk in. I mean, I don't know how to address that.
So,
Okay,
Okay.
so,
so let's think about it like this though. All right, so I like that, we'll call that stage 1, Steve.
Because we're gonna have to open doors, and we have to learn this as we go, I think.
Yes, and then we'll also there will be a modification to that once we get back to the courthouse.
Correct.
And just like you
To some
see,
extent.
yeah, just like you see in stores now where you've got little things on the floor saying, here's your 6-foot marker. If we're continuing to do that social distancing, we'll have to have those things available.
And we talked about doing
Okay.
that in the hallway at East Elementary, doing the marker spacing and setting chairs, because it's unrealistic to expect an elderly couple or somebody to come in there and stand out there.
Yes,
So we're gonna do the chair spacing and the emblems
right,
to encourage the social distancing.
okay,
If the walk-in traffic gets so heavy, or for some reason, if there's cords or whatever, to separate everybody, because we've got to address that somehow, because it's gonna happen,
right.
you know?
I mean, while we are in a smaller location, more compact space, we can be more restrictive
Correct.
in terms of how we address this once we get back. So I think it's great, and we start working toward an evolving plan for when we get to the courthouse sometime, probably this fall.
And when we talked about that, being at the courthouse makes it a little easier, because some of the departments are, they're on different floors.
Yeah.
So you got a different level of the public standing on different floors.
Right.
At East Elementary, it's a whole different ballgame.
You bet. So you were gonna talk about, office cleaning, those things. What was that?
Well, if we do the unlock, if we open up and we allow the walk-in traffic, we have to address on how we're going to meet our sanitary needs. I know we talked about it. Obviously to me, as far as the office space, to me, the office personnel, if they allow somebody in their office, probably ought to, if they want to wipe stuff down, and they're concerned about the touching stuff, to me, it ought to be the office personnel that's within that office should be responsible for wiping down what's ever been touched within the office. Obviously, in the public spaces, I think is probably the custodial staff's job. You know, we may have some disagreement on that, I don't know, so we need to work through that. I don't know how that's gonna look, I know Chris, you know, I think the schedule, I think we are on a schedule, and I don't think some people are aware that we're getting some equipment that will decontaminate the area, which, and I'll let Chris speak to that, but, you know, we have given this some thought, and we've got things in process.
And this is about what happens when you're serving the public. We've got to do the best that we can.
Right. But then again, some of the things I've been reading, I don't know that, it may make some of this a moot point in my mind, but I'm gonna let this discussion carry on with everybody else that wants to chime in.
Well, I think, this is Ed, I don't know that I'm on camera. I think I was one of the people who sent some emails yesterday, just asking for clarification. I think that maybe Tim and I were two passing ships in the night on our email exchanges. I looked at this from a perspective of liability more than anything else. And what I mean by that is, I think everyone here, and I think Michaela's email clarified and did a much better job eloquently articulating my. There's no question that if we let people in, then we need to be responsible for cleaning or sanitizing our own space. Although it does honestly open up and require us to answer some interesting questions. Things such as OSHA and chemicals and training, those type of things. And realistically, it's one thing to ask my people to wipe down their phone at the end of the day. It's another to ask, how do we go about the proper way of Michaela's person who's wiping down their space 4 times an hour, 8 hours a day, and the costs associated with that. But I think we can all come to an agreement whether or not Lisa wants to chime in on the OSHA side, whether or not it makes sense for us to have unified purchasing so that my office isn't using one type of chemical and another office is using another type of chemical, and we're all paying high prices. And maybe those things are things that folks have already thought about. The bigger problem becomes one of when this room that we're now sitting in next week becomes our staging area. How frequently, and the clerks, you know, I've spent this week dealing with a major issue and then another issue where I was tasked with finding alternative locations for us to hold trials in the county, because this space probably doesn't lend itself to socially distancing in juries. So whether or not that's at a high school or a memorial hall or whatever it may be, and then one of the questions is, who is cleaning that alternative site? But they started using the term sanitation, and my response was that if the clerk of courts and those folks are envisioning like what I consider a South Korean style subway, that isn't gonna happen. It just isn't gonna happen, and I recognize that. But if we're gonna have 100 people sit in these chairs and have constant turnover, or in the courtroom where we're gonna have 50 to 75 people sitting down, getting up, leaving, probably 2 to 3 weeks from now, what is the expectation or the cleaning schedule of when those central areas where people are going to be told they have to go to by the county? And other things like
Ed?
railings and bathrooms, things of that nature.
Hey, Ed, let me, couple things. So I appreciate that. As far as normal, we'll call the new normal cleaning of public spaces, Chris's team has that. And we'll be doing that, and we're getting equipment to take care of that, as Steve alluded to. That will be, I think, very advanced. I'm not the technical guy here. Chris can describe it here in a few minutes. But as far as the open public spaces, even in a space you're describing, we will have the capacity to do the cleaning necessary to take care of those areas. Steve is right. We've given this a lot of thought, not respective necessarily to courts, but just to the overall size of our courthouse. And we are going to need something more robust because we are not going to hire 5 or 6 more cleaning people to do this. Second issue is, as far as office space goes, just like in the corporate world, employees will be responsible to know how to clean their desks and their phones, their computers, and everything that's behind that public space. That should not be that difficult. Using a Clorox wipe should not require a ton of training. So we should be able to do that, and if you're allergic to that type of stuff, just like we do in the restaurant industry, wear a glove. So we can have restaurant-style gloves available in all these offices if that becomes an issue. Third thing, as far as this court search idea goes, it's not just an issue that the courts are presenting to us, it's an issue of what we're going to pay for.
The courts clean it.
What's that?
So why can't the courts be part of the cleaning solution?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things, and we'll need to circle back on this because I don't want to make this a discussion on alternative court sites, and I think we've got a security meeting coming up that the judge has called or something like
It
that.
was actually Tuesday and I missed it, so apparently you missed
And on
it.
Tuesday, Mark.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to put this stuff on Outlook. So, because there's only so much we're gonna pay for as a board, it's not up to the courts to tell it work.
Right.
So we'll have to have that discussion regardless of judges and what they want. So that'll be a different topic. So, but as far as cleaning goes, we will have that addressed. Chris, maybe talk about the machines we're getting to clean the public spaces, how we'll do that, and the schedule we're on. And is there a schedule currently suggested by CDC on doing that? I don't know that there is. Maybe there is, Chris, but can you fill us in on that?
I can. So the board authorized last week to purchase 6 Clorox Total 360 machines. In a nutshell, I'm not gonna get too technical on them. It's a move around cart, 60-foot extension cord, utilizes a safe, non-toxic cleaning solution that gets electrostatically charged in the machine. So adding that positive charge to the molecules makes it 360-degree cleaning. It attaches under desk, it goes behind your monitors, it gets basically everywhere. We have 6 of those on order. We should receive them sometime mid-June. Last time I checked, there were about 297 machines behind, and they're producing them fairly quick. So we'll have that in 20 cases of cleaning solution, hopefully mid-June. As far as scheduling goes, number one, we got to understand what's realistic. So realistic, we just heard it from the board. No, we're not going to add 5, 10, 15, 20 cleaning staff. So currently we have 8 buildings and 3 custodial staff. So 8 different locations that those gals are responsible for cleaning. I doubt most people realize that, but that's 8 separate locations they're responsible for. These machines, I've directed them when they come in, every morning, about an hour and a half to 2 hours prior to courthouse opening. We can do about 18,000 square foot per hour per machine. Those ladies will go around to each office. They'll go around all public spaces and they will spray that solution that effectively is going to sanitize from the day prior. That's realistic. So that is the schedule we will be on, barring any other directives that come down the pipeline. The reality of it is we have to look at what we can do. I think when you look at hospitals and what they're doing, they're using these Total 360 machines by Clorox. They're doing it once a day. If a hospital's getting by with it once a day, I'm pretty sure we can get by with it once a day. Schools are going to these machines once a day at the close of business. So that's where we're at right now. We'll be utilizing those at every facility. So public health will have a machine, the road department will have a machine. We'll have a floater machine, Steve, that goes out to cabins. So when it's time for the gals to go out and clean up cabins, they'll actually take a machine with them in the Explorer. They'll wheel that out and they will sanitize the cabins with that equipment. We'll have one that floats around for conservation, so your public spaces will be able to utilize it. That's the plan right now. As far as, let's speak to the chemicals and the use of chemicals, and let's try to alleviate, because Ed does bring up a good point. I wholeheartedly agree that we want to make sure that we're all utilizing the same stuff. I will take the responsibility through my department to supply that. That way there's uniformity in what we're using, what we're wiping down with on individual offices. So that'll get absorbed into the maintenance budget. So I will supply those things. Keep in mind, that being said, some of that stuff is still difficult to get a hold of. I have a little bit of a stockpile right now. I've got more squirt bottles coming, and I've got some semi-safe cleaning solution that can be utilized on desk and in spaces. So we'll get that taken care of. I'll provide whatever training anybody feels they need to be comfortable with those products and required PPE. So that's where we're at right now.
Perfect, thank you.
You might
Thank you,
want
Chris.
to note, Chris, I think like you told me this morning, the cleaning solution for these machines is at a premium.
It is at a premium. So that Clorox Total 360 solution, the brand name solution, I'm looking at some alternatives right now. I was able to secure 20 cases of that. So that's 80 jugs, 80 gallons of that. That will get us by for a couple months. So we need to keep in mind that as much as we may feel the need to sanitize every 5 minutes, the reality of it is this: we can only do that for a short amount of time until the supply chain catches up. So I think it's really important that we pay attention to our usage amounts, our usage rates. Guys, we can't clean everything all day long. Number one, it's a physical impossibility. We don't have enough staff to do that. Number two, every cleaning solution, and I think this is really important for everybody to understand, I've researched every one that's on the market. The efficacy of the product is as good as it is wet. So when that product dries, you're effectively no longer killing germs. There is no magic wand out there that we can spray and kill germs all day long. Right. That doesn't exist, and if it did, I probably wouldn't want it anywhere near people. So the reality of it is when a product dries after you wipe down a surface, that surface is now capable of getting germs on it again. And that's the world we live in. That's why we're going to go to once a day.
So with that, I just want to make sure so Chris, thank you for that. So I think that should provide some context to what we are going to do from a cleaning perspective. I think on your desk surfaces, your work areas, countertops that you address the public with, the cleaning process is much simpler and something that individual departments can handle. And again, it's not the cleaning that's the issue. Bathrooms will probably be more of an issue than anything else, just like in the restaurant industry right now. And we'll work on that. But the real issue is don't come to work when you're sick, maintain social distance. Those are the key issues. It is not cleaning. Cleaning is a secondary matter. And there's more and more information coming out that's proving that. So, all right. Any questions on any of that?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
There was, this is probably a Kim Dorn thing. I don't know if she's in the room or not, but there was some more guidance in the document sent out on opening up as far as wearing masks and things like that. I don't know if Kim wants to talk about what we had talked about on that.
Mask. Are you, Andrew, are you talking about the document that I sent out to the supervisors?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just got done with the meeting and just got on here. Well, I think masks are, it's not my intention that masks will be mandatory for anybody other than our staff at public health, who will interface with people who are actually sick with, or potentially high-risk areas like doing testing and such, they will be required to wear masks, N95s. But like when we open our building on June 1st and we start having the public back in, we will ask the public when they come back into our offices to put a mask on if they don't have a mask on. And if there might be times when somebody from the public isn't able to or refuses or whatever, then my staff will put a mask on, and we'll just have to kind of work through it. Somebody needs to be wearing a mask and somebody from the public is in our office. Yeah, until we are certain that everybody's, that people aren't sick. We also may ask a couple of screening questions when they come to the front door and come to the front desk. Say, hey, you feeling okay today? Do you have a fever or anything like that?
Sure.
Before we let them in our building.
But we're not thinking about mandating masks for the courthouse, are we?
No.
All right, good.
I don't run everybody else's department, and there's no mandate from IDPH or the CDC that everybody wear masks. The recommendation is that if you're going to be closer than 6 feet to somebody, then the recommendation is that somebody should be wearing a mask, but it is not a mandate. And I'm certainly not going to recommend a mandate for other departments. I'm gonna manage my department, and I'm willing to give everybody guidance and information on if they have questions about whether they should do things differently in their department. But as a policy by the county, I don't think a one-size-fits-all is appropriate.
Well, good.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, this is Steve.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't know if you have the answer or if you can even find the answer. But I've been doing a little research, and like I said, I don't believe everything I read. But have you heard? Is there any validity to something out there that the CDC is revising their guidance, saying that coronavirus does not spread easily over contaminated surfaces?
That came out yesterday.
Yeah.
And so the whole touch point thing is a little less serious of a concern as what they had originally indicated.
Okay,
Right.
so that should make it a little bit easier for us.
Yes, I have not read it yet, but I've seen a couple of just little snippets about it, that they have changed their recommendation.
Is that valid, do you believe?
That came out yesterday. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep, I'll find it.
all right, thank you.
I'll get it out to you.
I just wanted to be sure of the validity of what I was reading.
Yep, that came out yesterday.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have the beginnings of a plan to get started. We have a system to do appointments.
Well, we don't, that's,
We need to make a motion.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying we have selected one.
we have selected one, yes.
Okay.
We hope to have that in place. Andrew,
Yes?
we did discuss that. I know that was a point of conversation that we've kind of agreed to this, but we don't know exactly when it'll be up and running, correct?
We didn't buy anything yet because we wanted to have consensus from the board
Right.
that the board is okay with this. So I haven't even purchased it. I'm sure that this company is very busy implementing, so I couldn't tell you a timeline. I'd like to hope we could have it in place and running by the 1st of June.
Well, okay,
At least
okay,
maybe
here's
for
my
the
point.
major
Andrew, here's my point. Do we need to, as a group, or as a board, do we need to look at not making a hard opening date of June 1st until we have this software implemented? Does that make sense, or do we, as a group, go ahead and shoot for the June 1st? What's everybody's thoughts?
This is Karen, and my understanding from our meeting was our soft opening June 1st was going to be the appointment only. Yes, if they walk in, knock on your door, as long as you're available at that moment, you either help them or set an appointment. But the June 1st was going to be the start of the appointment only.
Was that
For my office,
irregardless of whether we had this software online?
we can do it on a spreadsheet,
Okay,
on paper, whatever, you know.
That's-
People are calling and they are asking,
Yeah.
are you
we
taking
need to have a
appointments
date.
yet? Are we able to get in the courthouse?
that's the question I'm asking everybody, if they're comfortable with that.
You are using the software, so.
And Steve, this is Ed again. I will say two things. I just spoke with my judge. I will have traffic court, I believe it's June 6th, is the first Monday,
Yes.
June 8th. I will have traffic court, I have trials scheduled for June 8th. So the floodgates, so to speak, on June 8th will be wide open with the standpoint that I could have a significant number of people, if they in fact show up. I'm supposed to be sending them orders today that says your trial is confirmed for June 6th. Please contact the court if you have questions or concerns. I was able yesterday to be on a conference call with 50 district attorneys, one from every state, who's designated by their county attorneys association. Other states have already started to do this, and they're running into the problems of having only about 30% of people who are scheduled to show up. So I don't think it's gonna be a mass run, and it's very difficult to issue warrants for people to arrest. The only reason I bring any of this up was late in the day yesterday, the judges in Polk County indicated they don't believe they're going to open until the middle of August. So that's going to create a very interesting dilemma of having potentially 99 different justice systems operating. I'm assuming we are going to get guidance from Justice Christensen on this issue. Judge Geider is of the belief that we will start June 8th with a full slate of the people who show up, but that decision may be taken out of our hands.
Okay, thank you, Ed. But in my mind, it's a moot point to me when anybody else opens up. We can't live in a cocoon forever, so we just need to come up with a date that everybody's happy with.
We have to
I mean,
stay
All I can
positive.
tell you guys is I can try my very best to have it up and running by June 1st. I would be limited by the vendor that we would be buying it from, when they could have the product to us.
And that's fine. That's why I'm asking the question to everybody, Andrew. If we do not have it online by June 1st, is everybody comfortable with opening things up June 1st, or does everybody want to wait another week or so?
I would like Marion County Public Health to open on June 1st.
Okay,
Yeah,
You know, we're
from our
already-
state. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
I was
Dave.
I was gonna say, from the auditor's office, we don't have near the traffic flow as, as the other offices. So once this primary is over on June 2, June 1st works for us just fine, because we don't have near that traffic flow. So, I don't know if the system that they're already using will keep going. So we kind of have those appointments already only. So, the June 1st is fine for me and for what we need.
everybody's still kind of doing appointment. It's just that everybody's kind of doing it their own way. And all this software is going to do is kind to put everybody on the same playing field. So it sounds to me like we're still we're still doing stuff by appointment, so it looks to me like June 1st shouldn't be a problem for everybody. But if I'm wrong, let me know right now.
We're already using the free software. You know, we've already got appointments booked for driver's license through, I think, June 5th as it is. So, you know, for that department, it would just be a matter of migrating to the new system. As far as motor vehicles, you know, at one point Andrew had that set up as a demo anyway. So I don't see why we couldn't use that temporarily for motor vehicles as well if we had to.
Okay.
Okay.
Would that also include remote workers, as June 1 would be the time that we would come back to the offices?
So next issue is talk about that, Carla. And I think the answer is yes. If we're going back to work, we're going back to work.
That's right.
I want to get this part though settled. June 1, we're unlocking the doors.
I didn't hear any objections.
We're still operating on an appointment-only basis, regardless of system. Andrew will research, explore, look at this other appointment system, and come back to the board and say, here's what it is, here's how much it costs, here's the agreement, here's how it works.
We know what it costs.
Okay,
It's just a matter of getting them online.
okay. Is this something we
If
want
you
to,
guys are agreeable to it.
is this something we want to approve now, Steve, is what I'm asking?
I believe so, yes.
Okay,
If we're truly headed in this direction and everybody wants to do this appointment thing, I believe this is the correct way to go.
so we'll just make that part of the whole thing then, that we'll approve this. Andrew's still got to do some work on his end, but it doesn't stop us from functioning.
That's perspective, it's just implementation, if you guys approve it.
Okay, so we'll lump that into the whole thing, and then we'll go forward from that standpoint. So let's deal with that as a separate issue. So unlocking the doors of our temporary location on June 1st, still operating by appointment only, and we will purchase an appointment software. I don't know the name of it, so I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
So
That's no wait inside.
No wait inside. Yeah.
no wait inside, and we will authorize the purchase of the no wait inside appointment software for county offices to utilize.
It's $30 a month and 5 cents a message.
Okay,
And it's not per department, it's overall $30 a month for,
Yes.
so if Kim wants to use it, the courthouse wants to use it, we want to, I mean, you know, do you see what I'm going at?
Where they're gonna make their money is the messaging.
Okay,
okay,
And obviously Jake is probably not going to utilize it as much as everybody else, so.
sure.
And I don't want, I really don't want, if it really gets utilized by departments, I would like to see the board or the county as a whole absorb that cost and not split it out to departments.
Sure.
Because
It's part of,
to me,
it's an overall admin
to me, it's a
cost.
county operational admin.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Steve. Okay, so we got those 3 items. Unlock the doors June 1, operate on appointment only basis, authorize the purchase of the no wait appointment software.
no wait inside. So,
Appointment basis only, yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there a motion?
so moved.
Second.
A motion and support? Jake?
Ramey,
Aye?
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Very good. Next item will be, Carla, you raised it, we need to talk about it, is the return of employees and return of staff. We have staff working from home and we have staff on furlough. I think you're talking about the work at home staff.
Correct.
And the return of work at home staff, in my opinion, is if we go back we start firing up the operation, we are no longer on a work from home basis, we're bringing people back to work.
I agree.
Is there any discussion on that?
I say if we're gonna open up, let's open up. Let's don't do piecemeal. So otherwise it confuses everybody.
Right. Agreed. Keisha?
Nope, so good with it.
All right. I suppose we could take a vote on that.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion.
Okay, we need to make a motion to, those workers that are working from home will return back to county offices June 1st.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey.
Aye. Very good. We have employees on furlough right now. We are discussing that at a later date. Any other items? County operations, open session. Anything from the group on the screen? Steve, how's the opening going? Edwards?
Hey, Mark, it's Tiff. What about if we have meetings that are outside of county? At least traveling to,
Yeah.
is that,
For business travel?
yeah,
I think we still go with the same rule we've got in place right now, Tiff.
okay,
Try to do as much by Zoom as possible.
okay,
If you need to go somewhere, just let's talk about it.
Make sure it's Decatur County. They have no confirmed case.
Okay? Steve?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Things are going well. The rubber will meet the road this weekend when the holiday crowd shows up. We've got roughly 225 campsites. All of those are basically full. If you can reserve it, it's reserved.
Okay.
We've increased our cleaning to twice a day for showers and restrooms, and then things like electrical boxes that people touch a lot. We've got kind of a little spritzer that we spray on that kind of like Chris said, it gets real wet, and then once it dries, it can get, viruses back on it or whatever. So, but we're trying to increase that, at least trying to make people feel a little bit safer. Our guys are going to wear masks as they interact with the public because there's going to be out-of-staters, out-of-county people, so we're trying
Yeah.
consideration. The weather will play a factor as far as day use areas go. Everything that we have is currently open except the Cordova Pavilion. And I noticed yesterday in the governor's proclamation that she is opening up some wedding reception areas, and that has to comply with her proclamation on the 13th of May under restaurants, under section 2, paragraph A, which I need to research a little bit. That is because we've got 24 reservations for the pavilion this summer. 23 of those are weddings, and I'm sure be able to tell the bride and her mother that they're good to go. So we need to research that a little bit and see if we can do that in a responsible way, open that up. The pavilion will actually hold 425. So even if we go to half, if we could limit it to 200, we might be able to accommodate those folks. We're sure going to try to accommodate them if we can. So, right now we just need to figure out a way to get that pavilion back open and again, still comply with the safety rules and regulations and stuff. But right now things are going well. People are social distancing better than maybe we thought they were going to. It was if you have 4 or 5 campsites and they're all family members, and they're asking us, well, can 20 or 25 family members get together? And we're trying to get them to be creative and still keep it down below 10. So that might be our homework assignment for this weekend, trying to get people to comply with that. So, but so far so good. We put all of our reservations are back online. They came online last Wednesday, and in a span of 6 days, we took in just shy of $20,000 worth of reservations.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we're happy.
Excellent. Great work, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Tell your team thanks. That was a big effort to get this thing up and running, so really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll tell them.
That's excellent. Anything else from the folks on the board? On that board. Not on this board, on that board.
He doesn't want to hear from us. It's all good.
Tyler? Tyler?
He's unmuting.
I'm coming. I gotta unmute.
Got 3 monitors, I gotta get my cursor across.
Are you doing SERPTA?
No, that meeting started 25 minutes ago.
All righty, okay, we missed that one.
There you go.
I was just gonna give you an update on road use tax here. I was trying to pull that up when you asked me to speak. Traffic counts are still down 30 to 40%, but our allocation that we received is actually about 100% of what we had budgeted.
Really?
So I'm really not sure what's going on. The state's automatic counters must not be representative of the majority of the roads. We're not, because what we received would have been April's, off of April's fuel tax revenue. So they keep saying prepare for the worst, prepare for 25 to 40% reduction in revenue, but I'm not seeing it yet.
So either we're getting shorted in a normal year or they gave us too much.
Right, they'll take it back later.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else?
One thing I'd like people to be aware of, right now, the state of Iowa, the Iowa Economic Development Authority, is doing a second survey of both businesses and organizations. So if folks know businesses or organizations in our communities, please encourage them to fill out the survey. That will be used by the governor and Director Durham in any economic recovery programs that are going to be developed after this point. And so it's very important, not only for businesses, but also for organizations to go on there and fill out the survey. It takes about 8 to 15 minutes to fill it out.
Carla, is this being communicated to both chambers of commerce in Pella and Knoxville, and are we getting it to Pleasantville and Melcher and other places?
We have a weekly meeting between the 3 chamber directors, the CVB director, and a couple business resources. So yes, we got it out last week, and we're also yesterday we created a common message that we're going to be sending out today and tomorrow, with the deadline being next week. So we have been meeting for probably a month and a half now on a weekly basis.
Okay, very good.
Could you reach out to those, maybe the Melcher area, and make sure that they have the information, at least the city hall?
They will send the information. We'll continue to send them the information as well.
All right, great.
Thanks,
All
Carla.
mayors. And I think the original email that I sent out went to close to 350 people. So we continue to send those out to networks and encourage folks to, again, that's why I brought it up here. Everybody here knows somebody who runs a business or that runs an organization. And Director Durham has told us on a couple different conference calls that this is the survey that they will be using, even though there's a ton of surveys out there right now for businesses and entities. This is the one that they're going to be using to direct the economic recovery programs.
Yeah. Thank you, Carla. Lisa?
Question was asked, public meetings, do you still want to limit those to Zoom? Are we opening public? If I'm a department and I have a public meeting scheduled, am I still to do that as Zoom in June, or am I allowed to bring them in?
Okay, so we'll still use Zoom.
So use Zoom. That was my assumption, but I just want to make sure that everybody was clear that we're all still using Zoom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And Steve, I just found the answer to your question on the CDC guidance, and it does speak specifically about the virus is thought to continue to spread mainly from person to person, in contact within 6 feet. So I think continuing with the Zoom is a good plan.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else before we wrap up open?
Mark, if you would just put on your calendar system, I think we need to have a conversation about the public's access to the court system. We keep talking about the individuals that we see for participants in the court system. But I know that other states are starting to deal with the public wanting to come to court and or the media wanting to come to court. And we have had a situation just recently occurred that will require, I believe, media presence during court hearings. And I will tell you that states have adopted a variety of different approaches, and some of them have failed miserably. Michigan, for example, created a YouTube channel for each of the counties. All the court hearings would be on YouTube, and all of a sudden, go surprise, they had a bunch of witness tampering and potential juror tampering issues come up, because you can see what's going on. It's one thing to be able to be in court, it's another that court's recorded and then exists forever in the internet. So it's one of the thoughts of, do we want to use a staging type room to be a public viewing area for court, which would be based on a television system with a camera that would then show what's going on in the courtroom.
No,
It's not a question we need to answer today, but it is, I'll tell you that I have a preliminary hearing in the state of Iowa versus Michelle Vogt at this next Thursday at 1:30. She's been charged with murder in the first degree, and I believe that will be a case that will have potential media people wanting to come to.
Ed?
That's fair.
Ed, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
At the courthouse, you know, in the past, when the courtroom met capacity, what did we do with the overflow? We just didn't allow them in, right?
I can tell you that other than
What I'm getting at East Elementary, if we have a room that only has a capacity of 20 people, that's all the people that come to court in my mind. I don't know how the courts want to deal with that. Maybe they need to make their courts by appointment. I don't know, but what I'm saying is our rooms are only so big.
Yeah. Ed, let's talk about this a little bit. I mean, I hear your concern. Each branch of government needs to have the light of day shined on it. And the idea of, having a secretive court hearing or anything secretive from a court perspective could be problematic. That's what a FISA court is, and we already know what happened with those. So we want to be able to have the media to have access to the courts and some public attendance at court hearings so they can see what's going on, especially in trials like you just articulated. So let's talk about that. I'll give you a call.
Thanks, sir.
Anything else on the board? All right. Seeing none, do we have anything for closed session? Yes? Okay. With that, I'd entertain a motion to close open session. Thank you for attending. We will schedule another one of these for next Thursday, again, to do an update.
Make motion. We adjourn. Or no, not adjourn. Close. Open session.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do.
Thank you.
Back on?
All right.
I just had an epiphany.
You had an epiphany. Well, let's get back in the open session so you can epiphanize. All right. Is there a motion to reopen open session?
Make motion.
Reconvene.
Reconvene into open session.
Second.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Steve.
Your epiphany.
I will keep it to myself.
He doesn't want to enlighten us all.
Wow. I feel gypped now, like I lost out on something. All right, the results of our closed session were continued discussion of county operations and staff responsibilities during our COVID-19 crisis. The board asked 3 individuals to come up with recommendations for recognition, and we'll return to the board with those recommendations in 2 weeks. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Ramey,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
We are adjourned.